Get Pago 829 Friday containing COVID. Just getting you guys ready. You should be bracing yourselves for a presentation that we are hearing is going to be very grim.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen
1 o'clock. It's the governor's daily press briefing, but they're doing a special presentation from the governor's physicians advisory group. That's at 1 o'clock. We'll be streaming it live on our Facebook page, and we will also be broadcasting it right here on 994 FM.
Right, and so and everyone that we've talked to, because we're really trying to give you as much advance heads up on this as we can, is the news that the trajectory is looking very, very grim. You know, what Dr. Cabrera had said that his first presentation was really meant to guide us in dodging that, what was the
first grenade.
First grenade. So he said that was the first grenade. And now we're ready for the war. And what I'm hoping is I'm praying that we don't go from dodging the first grenade to getting hit by a nuclear. So you get the family around, and you guys listen as we're expecting some big announcements
Right.
that are going to be happening.
And right now we're at 82 confirmed cases. 12 patients have recovered. And just this week, we got the announcement that the number of deaths had increased by 2. And there are a total of 3 deaths on Guam.
Okay, and we're going to get Tomas Maglotnia. He's looking at things over in the CNMI for us. But first, let's bring Speaker Tina Munia Barnes onto the show. Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Hafaday and Mananasi to you both, Chris and Sabrina.
Hafaday.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course, the Speaker. I guess just first we'll start. I know that you had a conference call, and I think I saw something on your chat about us getting some medical supplies. You kind of want to start. Let's start with the good news first.
Yes, working closely with the American Institute and the chief officer there, Ms. Helen Peterson. We've been in communication also with the administration, and we've asked Taiwan for their assistance in as far as supplies and equipment, and they're working on it, and we're just very grateful.
Okay. I wanted to get into the conference call that you guys, or Zoom meeting that you guys had with Admiral Manoni.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about the conversations you guys had and some of the concerns that were brought up.
Yes, I want you to know that, first of all, I want to say thank you to Rear Admiral Manoni for giving all our colleagues the opportunity to receive all our questions and to give us an update of what was happening on the ship. We talked, there were many, many questions, but one of the main things was asked was the test kits and the machine, and that he hopes that the machine that will be able to process these medical test kits, that they would be here maybe within the week's time, and that we also know that that the tests for the sailors will continue to go on, and only those who are not that are found negative after the testing will be able to be released for additional 14-day quarantine into the different areas that are designated and worked out with the different hotels. Yes, he also has a list of what the government of Guam needs are, and they're working to see what they can do to assist.
What are the government of Guam needs?
From respirators to PPEs. You know what, Sabrina and Chris, we as an island continue to try and come together, and like I was sharing with the Lieutenant Governor, we're going to ask everyone. Dr. Cabrera yesterday talked about how they thought they had so many months of supply, that maybe even up to 6 months worth of supply, and a large percentage of it was already burned and utilized within the timeline that we were working, which is in the last week or 2 weeks, that more than half of their supply was already utilized. So they heard that we heard that 300 cases were being done, and they require for each sailor to go through 2 negative tests before to make sure that they're not infected, and they've shared that they will comply with the governor's orders in as far as the quarantine and making sure that whatever is whatever the protocols are, that they would adhere to everything.
Right.
And,
Mary Rhodes
as
went
far
through
as the
Mary
people
Rhodes went through all of that. I was just wondering, you said that there were needs, government needs,
Yes.
government of Guam needs that were relayed to Admiral Manoni. What were those needs?
Yeah, the medical examiner, the more test kits, PPEs, the respirators. Yeah, we are trying to get that to the civilian community.
Okay. Would you like to ask something, Chris?
Yeah, Speaker. So I just wanted to ask about the session thing. So, just trying to move forward from here. Are there any plans? Because I know you had said it was postponed indefinitely, and I understand that you're trying to be on the same page with the governor. But there's been a lot of grumbling from your colleagues. So how are we going to kind of maybe meet halfway? Or just tell us, are there any plans anytime soon to have any kind of session?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, Chris. To the both of you, I want to share to the people that just because we postponed session doesn't mean that we're not working hard to try and get to have session. We need to look at what we have in as far as our budget. We need to look at all the bills that have been introduced, making sure that working closely with the administration, some of the bills that have already been introduced that did not have a public hearing, but maybe that possibility of literally affording the governor to utilize has already been worked out with the federal government and the administration. So we want to make sure that we don't duplicate those efforts, and more importantly, to make sure that we don't impede that. If we send a bill up and pass a bill and it goes up to the governor, that she's going to have to veto it. We want to make sure that it doesn't impede on the work that they're doing. We did, and I want to say that we did have a long briefing with the National Conference of State Legislatures, who gave us a preview, an overview of all the stimulus and the federal packages that are being heard right now. But we also talked about what the states are doing as it relates to session. And as each state is different, especially as it relates to both the House and the Senate, it's not all the same. They did talk about the concerns of the constitutionality. More importantly, we did bring up the fact that we have the Organic Act that we need to deal with and work with, and it's not just our standing rules, but what is written through the Organic Act. And those questions that we further solidified in a formal letter yesterday afternoon, that they committed to further working with the House and to work with the judiciary to work with the legal minds back there to have some answers to the questions that we posed to them yesterday. And I know that we did send some of the questions your way, but I think it's really important to realize that we do not want to take away from the accountability and transparency that our community needs to know. You both know that just recently there was concerns from the Vigilance Committee with Ms. Archenta, and also with a former colleague of ours, Mr. Klitsky, Senator Klitsky. And I just want to say that we have not stopped. I want to thank the Committee on Rules Chair. I want to thank all my colleagues and for at least keeping an open mind that before we move forward, even with what is happening in as far as virtual concept and telephonic communication, those things too have to be vetted. We have to be sure there are a lot of restrictions on how we can move forward. Questions regarding how motions and objections need to be handled. How do we work with legal when there's an objection on the floor, and how do we proceed?
Sounds pretty complicated, Speaker.
Yes, it does, Chris, and I know.
But Speaker, I want to go back because I'm sorry, you mentioned the former Senator Bob Klitsky, and I saw the correspondence you put in the chat, and he did say that there would be problems and it would be problematic to have a Zoom app type session. But he did say that you guys should just meet regularly at the Congress Hall and adhere to the social distancing measures.
Yes, Chris, and based on his recommendations, also we've already had looked into that, and I need to share with you that some of my colleagues personally have shared very serious concerns on why that we couldn't meet personally. So a couple of them have brought up the governor's order, the concerns about health.
Well, they take care of elder relatives,
family members.
Right? Yeah.
And you know what, Chris, it's really, really important to know that we have to make sure that even as leaders, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our families. And I'm literally shooting to have sessions sooner than not. If there's an opportunity that we can work out all the logistics with working closely with CORE and the rest of my colleagues, we can even push for a session even sometime this month, which is already leading into the budget session.
Yeah,
and
we still got to pass the budget.
Closely with the oversight chair on budget, Senator San Augustine.
So you have seen Senator San Augustine, Speaker, because we have not seen him, and we've made repeated requests for him to get a hold of us. We got questions about the budget. I don't know, is he in quarantine or something? Maybe he's just in quarantine from KUAM.
With Senator San Augustine, I do know that he shared with me that we continue to update. There is a CRER meeting that's supposed to be handed to us and by April 20th, and I know that he said that would give us a clearer update, but I do know that he is very concerned about what's going on, and if there is any federal aid that can be, and resources that can come down our way without impeding on the government funding source, then let us utilize what we are getting from the federal government. And those projections are going to be within this next week, a couple of weeks. And one of the other concerns, I don't know if you guys are aware about it, but one of the concerns that they're looking at how to distribute is working on the census. Guam has not done a census in 10 years, though we are started. The states, I just found out yesterday that they do it differently. They do it on a yearly basis. They work closely with the Department of Labor and the different agencies back there. We don't have that. Ours is done every 10 years. So what information are we going to track and provide for that? I do know that the governor's office has been working with that very closely with the Department of Labor and with the census. And our aid is based on the residents that we have.
Right, yeah. No, Speaker, I get it. I mean, we're going on old data, so with this disaster, major disaster declaration, when they crunch the numbers, you're right, we're going to be going off info that's 10 years old, but I mean, it's not like we can send people out to do the census. Speaker, I want to go back to not necessarily session, but local assistance for displaced workers and people who have otherwise been adversely impacted by COVID-19. We're talking about thousands and thousands of our island's people. And, I want to ask because I believe you're very compassionate. Speaker, I know your slogan has always been, "You're in my heart." And I'm just wondering, why is it that we don't have any temporary local assistance to give to our people while we ask them to hang in there and wait for the federal government to kick down some stimulus. We did it with the war claims. You guys, had no problem going into session. Had no problem ramming the war claims through. That was a federal program that we were going to do federally. We spent local money knowing that we were going to get reimbursed by the federal government. My question is, why can't we do the same thing for our people? Because it's more than just, Manumco. We're talking about a wide section of people that are going without a paycheck right now, that are trying to figure out if their landlord is going to listen to what the governor said about you can't evict me. People are really struggling, and I just don't understand why there isn't more sense of urgency on your part, on the governor's part, on any of your colleagues' part, to kind of try and get some money into these people's hands, or any kind of assistance. I don't understand why it doesn't seem to be a priority, because we can't wait 3 weeks.
I want to share with you, Chris, that please know that it is not a fair statement to say, because this administration has literally been working hard to get an agreement between the Secretary of the Labor, U.S. Department of Labor, and then what is happening right now is what we've done with the war claims is completely different. There was already legislation in place, but because of the glitch in how to be paying out, we stepped up to the plate to see.
So why aren't you guys stepping up to the plate now, Speaker, is what I want to know. Why aren't we stepping up to the plate now? All we're hearing is, we can't, the Zoom, the rules, the this, the that.
No, it regards to unemployment, we do not have a program in place.
Right.
And that's how the program is being distributed. And now that I know that the governor has the agreement between the Department of Labor and Guam, the bill that is on hand, we need to make sure doesn't impede on what the feds are saying, as it relates to saying, in order for you to get the funds for Guam, you have to have a program. There are exemptions in the care package that says if we don't have one, then there is a possibility to work with Uncle Sam to make sure that, because we don't have unemployment insurance, that we can work an exemption or a consideration for that. That is being worked on right now.
But it's still weeks away, Speaker. I mean, FEMA doesn't have a timeline on it. They said that and I interviewed the guy from FEMA yesterday. He said there are hurdles that our local government has to clear, and he couldn't even say when we're going to see checks in the hands of these workers. So I don't understand why we're continuing to explain away how our people are going to hang in there and wait weeks. I'm not really getting it.
I do apologize. I beg to differ. We are not working week. We were told by the federal, there was a short answer, does Guam qualify? And in the beginning they said no, but the longer question is, how do we work together to get this program done? The governor's office right now, the governor, lieutenant governor, Department of Labor here on Guam has been working closely, even with the attorney generals. They signed the agreement implementing the relief for workers affected by the coronavirus. That has already been signed. That has already been sent. I understand that the U.S. Department of Labor has those documents in their hand. I have not seen a signed copy, but I'm almost sure that it is being implemented right now as we speak, so those protocols can be put in place so that funding can come in the same time that it's going to come in everywhere else in the state. If we do anything right now, we can jeopardize this. There are probably a couple of things that we can look at, but right now I'm having even to seek further clarification if any comments come back to us that differ from the MOU not being able to be worked on.
Right, yeah.
But I'm confident that with the agreement that the governor of Guam has signed with the U.S. Department of Labor and our Attorney General of Guam, that this agreement, this MOU or MOA, that would be able to trigger the start of the funding to come into our island.
Well, Speaker,
you said there were some things you can work on now. So what are those things?
No, I have to be able to look at the package to make sure that the agreement that the government works on is because Guam does not have a
Right.
program,
Right.
an unemployment insurance program.
Right. Yeah.
So is there anything else that can be done while we're sitting and waiting for this program
And the
to take
agreement and the MOA has already been signed.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
we
right,
know.
right.
We know.
Aside,
we know. Yeah,
aside
yeah,
from
yeah,
that, though,
yeah.
what else can be done to help the people that are
Is
struggling
there
right
anything
now?
that can be done? Is
anything.
there anything that can be done
Aside from unemployment?
using our local money right now?
Right. We have asked NCSL to see if there's anything else out there that we can work with. Is there any other program? We know that with these 3 stimulus packages, that there are more than 60 programs that apply to Guam. We've asked for further breakdowns to see that what we can do, and our team has been working on it. And one of the concerns that have also come up, even in as far as the emergencies, how can we get more nurses here on Guam? How can we work on bringing and making sure that the shortages of nurses here on Guam, that we have the opportunity to work that? I know that we have legislation on the books right now, and Dr. Felix Cabrera on his briefing yesterday saying we need more nurses. That is something we can work with. And that is another question that we asked the National Conference of State Legislators, is to see, is there any waivers? Is there anything where we can look at reciprocity right now in these trying times and seeing if we can take nurses that have degrees from the mainland and can that be utilized here?
Speaker,
some kind of reciprocity approach.
right, yeah.
But
Noted.
again,
I just want to kind of go back to the aid speaker, because this is just something that, I'm not trying to give you a hard time because, Chris Barnett wants to give you a hard time. We've got thousands of people asking about this. And, we spoke with Senator Teresa Lahi. She is asking that, we release as many tax funds, refunds that we can as early as we can. That is something that could be done. I think, that's something that doesn't require you guys to go into session. Is there going to be mobilization behind that effort?
Yes, there already is mobilization behind that effort. I want to share with you that we sent a letter with the oversight chair on OFB, Senator Joseph Augustine. We jointly sent a letter to the governor asking that this be done already with all the tax filing that has been done to date. For 2019 taxes, we asked that be released. We sent that letter out 2 days ago. A week ago. And Senator Joseph Augustine is continuing with his policy team.
It'd be good to hear from him. I'm starting to feel like you're his spokesperson.
I would definitely send him the message.
Yeah, really. We've sent a lot of messages. Sorry, Speaker. The heat is on, Speaker. This is when people are looking to you guys to do something. And Lana, when it was FESPAC, Lana were very fast when it was FESPAC. When the governor wanted you guys to jump and do the war claims, we were so fast, laxative, very fast. But now that our people need assistance now, all we're getting is excuses. The governor doesn't want to use local money, so you agreed to not have a session, so we're not doing that. And that's where we are now, Speaker. That's where we are now. And really, I'm glad to see you sound fired up, but I cannot wrap my mind around why we're just going to let our people hang out to dry while we wait for federal assistance to come to Guam. I don't understand it. And neither do these people out here who are, waking up hungry. Neither are the 12,000 people who are driving around getting a grab-and-go meal from the Department of Education because they got nothing to eat. And I don't understand why it's not a priority. I don't understand. I really don't. And all I'm hearing is we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it.
Chris, with all due respect, I really want to share with you that the questions that you've asked me today, every question has been and continues to be and will continue to be advocated for. We are working on it, and we had very many sleepless nights just trying to go through what is being provided to us, what we can work on, what we can move forward with. And I'm telling you, we are asking and doing the same things that you guys are pleading for. And just know that our job doesn't end here. We will continue to move that. And I'm sure that with the packages, the stimulus packages that have already been passed on, that the implementation and it coming to our island will be sooner than later. And like I said, we continue. Yesterday we had 4 or 5 meetings with all the different groups, just trying to get updates, just trying to see how much further that we can do as policymakers. If we need to write letters, if we need to look at asking to do more legislation, we're working on that. We're working with NCSL to find out what the kinks are, to making sure that we don't violate any constitution or any organic act provisions that are already there. We have to make sure that what we do is open and transparent. So yes, we are working really hard, Chris, and I just want to say that I know that even with today's presentation at 1 o'clock, that the information that we need to share to our community is going to be very hard. The doctors are worried that this pandemic has affected the whole world, and we need to follow directions. We need to stay home. We need to social distance ourselves, but we need, and even at all of that, we need to continue to work. And we are adapting, we are improvising, and we are continuing to work, even during these trying times. So yes, we are working very hard, Chris. And all I can say is, if I'd be more glad to give any and all updates that I get on a daily basis from all the other leaders that are out there, from the administration, from labor, from the briefings that we get from the White House. We will continue to bring that information to you every time we get it.
Well, thank you, Speaker. I've seen in this term that you guys have come together to push agendas that people want to get pushed, and I just don't know why we don't see that effort. You're very close with the governor, and again, that's why I wanted to call and kind of just to re-impress upon you that people out here need something yesterday. Last week they needed something, and so we've given you an opportunity to tell the people of Guam everything that you're working on to make that happen. And so is there anything else in closing that you would like to say to the audience?
Every week, Chris, we talk to we talk to Joint Region. We're working closely with the governor. We're working with our colleagues to see what we can do. We get briefings from the White House every time they have one. We're invited to that, even with the tribal.
I'm sorry, but who's working with the governor? You're working with the governor, or the legislature's working with the governor? Just you, or is it the other Democrats or the Republicans? Because there are other senators that say they have no clue.
I beg to differ, Sabrina. Every time there is a meeting with the governor.
Did you have a meeting with the governor and Joe San Augustine earlier this week before you canceled session?
No, that is Sabrina. She was giving us a briefing and
so yes.
Policy, and I just want you to know that was just a call-in, and I got the information, and I just need you to know that we will continue to work together. And I have opened every time I've received anything from anybody. You need to know that I have shared it with my colleagues. I just sent you the letter, guys, from what we sent to the governor regarding tax refund. And I just need you to know that we will continue to work our hardest. Okay. And our colleagues and I, we can agree to disagree, but the bigger picture is that we know that we need to work together in order to get programs that are implemented to our people.
I just want to know, why was that Republican letter included in the decision to cancel or postpone session?
Sabrina, when we had the emergency session for Bill 313, which was the unemployment bill, that session was supposed to go on.
Right.
There was a request to hold it for 14 days. There was that request. There was that pressure to make sure that desired request not to have session, to adhere to the governor's request to do shelter in place and to postpone the hearing, not to cancel it, but to postpone it. There was one bill. That bill was set 14 days later, which would have fallen on that date. And as you and I know, Sabrina, every day we may say something right now. When we hang up, there'll be new information coming in. The information comes in, it's very fluid. Things are changing. There's so many fast.
Right. You know, Speaker, I don't know if you realize, Speaker, I'm sorry, I don't know if you realize how much pressure is on you because you listen to what the governor said, you canceled session, and there are 14 other colleagues with, a whole lot of ideas about how they can help our people right now. And by canceling session, you basically put all the heat on you and the governor. So you got to deliver, Speaker. If you're going to tell your colleagues that, hey, we're not going to have session because, Auntie Lou has it under control. We're going to follow Auntie Lou. Let's all support Auntie Lou. Then if you're going to shut them out of this process, then you got to deliver, Speaker. You got to deliver.
And you are right, Chris. The governor, the legislature, as the Speaker, we will continue to work and do it right by our people. We will make sure that everything is accountable and transparent. And every day we will continue to work hard to get the resources into the pockets of our people. And every day we get concerns from citizens that we work on to get answers for them. And I will continue to work that and share with my colleagues. And that's the best I can offer, because I am not canceling session. We are making sure that when session comes on and the bills that need to be entertained, even those that will not have a public hearing, that we need to make sure that everything is in order. We are working closely with the Committee on Rules. Everything that we do, we want to make sure that we do it right. So I just want to share with you that it takes a concerted effort, and the people of Guam need to work on this together. We cannot be divided.
Okay, Speaker. Thank you for we want you to get mad. I want you to get fired up. I want you to go and I want you to bang on doors, and I want you to get some assistance for our people right now. So it sounds like you're fired up.
That, Chris and Sabrina, I continue to do that on a daily basis. Believe it.
Okay, Speaker.
Thank you.
Wash your hands.
God bless.
Okay. Oh, there you go, Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes. Not really gonna apologize because I'm just, man, Bree, this has been eating me up, man.
I know it has been.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm not
I know
sorry,
how
not
much
sorry.
You care.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need to explain to me.
Okay, good. All right. It's 9:02.
I care too.
I know. Containing COVID. We're gonna read off some of our Facebook comments, and we'll take a little break, do some news, and come back with more of the show.